You were told a story your whole life. Work hard, and you'll make it. Keep your head down. Put in the hours. Good things come to those who grind. It sounds noble. It's also the most profitable lie ever sold to the working man. Because look around you. The hardest working people you know are not the richest. They're the most tired. The man breaking his body on a job site outworks his boss every single day, and he'll never own what his boss owns. The woman working 2 jobs works more hours than any millionaire alive, and she's still behind. So if hard work alone made people rich, the world would look completely different than it does. It doesn't, which means something you deeply believe is wrong. Machiavelli said, "The powerful stay powerful by selling the useful a virtue that keeps them useful." Hard work, for most people, is that virtue. Let me show you why. Welcome to Wealth Decoded. Let's be clear about something first, before anyone gets the wrong idea. This is not about being lazy. Effort matters. But effort is the entry fee, not the prize. Everyone in the game is already working hard. The people above you and the people below you are all grinding. Hard work makes you a good employee. It rarely makes you a wealthy one. Because the thing nobody says out loud is this: hard work has a ceiling. And that ceiling is low. You only have so many hours, so much energy, so much body to give. You can push every last bit of it to the absolute limit and still slam into a wall that no amount of grinding will ever break. The wealthy figured out something the tired never do. It was never about working harder. It was about what your work is attached to. And once you see the 4 cracks in the story, you can't work the same way again. Here's the first crack in the story. Effort is linear. Wealth is exponential. When you work for an hour, you get paid for an hour. Work 2, get paid for 2. It's a straight line. Fair and fatal. Because a straight line has a hard limit, and you will hit it. There are only 24 hours in a day, and you can't sell what you don't have. Now watch what the wealthy build instead. Something that works once and pays many times over. A product that sells while they sleep. A system that runs without them standing there. A piece of ownership that grows quietly on its own. Their effort isn't a line, it's a seed. They work once and harvest for years. You work once and get paid once, then you have to do it all again tomorrow. Over a single decade, the line and the seed end up in completely different worlds. But there's a darker layer under this, and it's the one that stings. The second crack. When you work for money, you are building someone else's asset. This is the part that hurts. Every hour you pour into a job, you are making something more valuable. But not for you. The company grows, the owner's asset appreciates, and you get the same paycheck you agreed to, no matter how much value you created that day. Picture it clearly. You stay late, you close the big deal, you save the project. The business is worth more tomorrow, and your pay is exactly the same. You're not building wealth. You're renting your life to build someone else's. That's not an insult. It's just the arrangement, seen clearly for once. Machiavelli understood that the man who builds for another is always at that man's mercy. The grind feels like real progress. But if you don't own what you're building, you are simply a tool in a hand that isn't yours. And that raises a question you may not want to answer. Now pause. Think about your work this week. At the very end of it, did you own anything new? Anything that will still be paying you next year? One word, because if the honest answer is no, you didn't build. You rented. The third crack. Hard work keeps you too busy to ever get rich. This is the cruelest part of the whole trap. Building wealth requires the 2 exact things a hard grind steals from you: time and mental space. to learn, to think, to spot the opportunity, to build the thing on the side. But when you're completely drained from selling every single hour, you have nothing left at the end of the day. No energy to learn a valuable skill, no space to see the bigger move. So you stay on the treadmill, working harder, going nowhere, too exhausted to even think about stepping off. Notice this: the system doesn't need you lazy, it needs you busy. A tired, busy man doesn't ask dangerous questions. He doesn't build an exit. He just runs faster inside the same wheel and proudly calls it ambition. Exhaustion is not a side effect of the trap. It is the trap. And it exists because of one thing almost nobody understands about how you get paid. The fourth crack. The market pays for value, not effort. This is the truth that reorders everything you thought you knew. Nobody actually pays you for how hard you worked. They pay you for the value they receive. You can spend 10 hours on something worth almost nothing, and a wealthy man can spend 10 minutes on something worth a fortune. Effort is completely invisible to the market. Only value gets priced. Think about it. Nobody checks how many hours you suffered before they pay. They only ask, what is this worth to me? And here's what that really means for you. The path was never more hours. It's more valuable output per hour. A rare skill. A solved problem. A thing that people desperately want and can't easily get. Machiavelli said, reward follows the man who provides what others cannot, not the man who simply suffers the most. Suffering was never a strategy. Value is, and that single shift is the door out. Pause again. Ask yourself one honest question. Are you being paid for your time or for your value? One word. Because one of those two things has a hard ceiling, and the other one has none at all. So if hard work isn't the answer, what is? It's not doing less. Let me be clear. It's aiming your effort at the right target. Same energy, same fire, different direction entirely. Instead of working harder inside someone else's system, you spend some of that fire building your own. Instead of selling all of your hours, you use a few of them to create something that outlives the hour. Instead of chasing a raise that has a ceiling, you build a skill so valuable that the market starts chasing you instead. The wealthy never escaped work. Most of them work intensely. They simply redirected it, from effort that disappears the moment you stop, to effort that keeps paying long after you've walked away. Same sweat, completely different result. Think of two men laying bricks side by side. One works brutally hard, all day, every day, for a fair wage, and he's proud of it. The other works just as hard, but every day he's quietly learning how the whole building goes up, how the money flows, how the deals are made. In 10 years, the first man is a faster bricklayer with a ruined back and the same wage. The second one owns the construction company and pays other men to lay the bricks. Same work, same hours, same sweat poured into the ground. One aimed his effort at a paycheck, the other aimed it at ownership. That is the entire game, right there. It was never how hard you worked, it was toward what? Here's the shift that quietly changes a life. Stop asking, how do I work harder? Start asking, how do I make my work build something I actually own? Every hour you spend, run it through one simple question. Does this create an asset or just a paycheck? A paycheck feeds you today and vanishes by morning. An asset feeds you for years without ever asking again. You don't have to quit your job tomorrow. That's not the message. You just have to start pointing a piece of your effort, even a small piece, at things that keep paying after the work is finished. An hour a day, a skill on the side, a first small thing you own. That's the real difference between the tired and the free. Not the size of the effort, the direction of it. and understand exactly who benefits from you never hearing this. The harder you grind, without ever asking where your effort goes, the more valuable you become to everyone except yourself. The story of hard work, as the answer, wasn't written for you. It was written for the people who needed you to keep running without looking up. Machiavelli said the wise prince keeps his people busy, because busy men are grateful men, and grateful men do not rebel. Redirecting your effort is how you quietly stop being useful to their machine and start building your own. You keep the work ethic. You just stop donating it. Now, one last pause. Don't think about how hard you work. Think about who you are truly working for, yourself or someone else's dream. One word, because that single answer is deciding your entire future, quietly, every single day, whether you choose to look at it or not. If this shifted something, even slightly, don't stop here. Because what we covered is only the surface. There are deeper layers to money, power, and behavior that don't fit inside one video. Not because they're hidden, because most people aren't ready for them. That's why most stay average. If you're not one of them, subscribe. Every video here is built to sharpen how you think and separate you from the crowd. No fluff, no noise, just strategy. Most people will watch this and move on. A few will stay and change. You already know which one you are.